Okay, so last year there was a wave of these drone sightings over New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you remember this, but it was
Yeah,
kind of a big deal for a little while there.
it was.
There were people freaking out thinking it was, aliens or some kind of
Oh, yeah.
government experiment.
Mm-hmm.
It even got so bad that they had to like shut down an airport for a bit.
That's right.
So we wanted to do kind of a deep dive into this and see what really happened, because it turns out it's a little less exciting than aliens,
Right?
but maybe even more interesting,
Yeah.
because the White House finally came out and said, hey, you know what? The FAA,
Right?
they actually authorized a lot of these drones.
Yeah, that was a huge part of the story that a lot of people kind of missed, is that this
Right.
wasn't just some rogue operation. These were,
Sanctioned.
government approved. Yeah, government.
Right, so like
yeah.
research projects and
Yeah.
stuff. But even then, the details are still pretty vague.
They're very vague.
It's like, oh, other activities.
Yeah, what does that even mean, right?
It's like, are we talking commercial?
Right.
Are we talking scientific research?
Right.
Something else entirely?
Yeah.
That's, I think, where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, okay, we know it's not, some foreign government or whatever,
Right.
but we also don't know exactly what it is.
Well, I think we can speculate a little.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a field that's constantly evolving, right? So
Well,
it could be
pretty much.
environmental monitoring, could
Yeah.
be checking out infrastructure, could be testing some kind of new drone tech that
Right.
they're not ready to talk about.
And just to add to that whole like vagueness of it,
Yeah.
I remember very distinctly during like the peak of all
Yeah.
the frenzy around this.
The height.
You had Caroline Leavitt,
Mm-hmm.
who was the press secretary at the White House,
Mm-hmm.
come out and being like, "Don't worry, guys, this is not the enemy."
Yeah.
It felt very much like,
Damage control.
yeah, exactly, like, "Hey, everybody, calm down." This isn't what you think it is.
Well, I think it was really strategic because remember, there was so much misinformation flying around at the time.
Oh yeah,
It was like the Wild West of conspiracy theories.
absolutely. I mean, you had congressmen, I think,
Oh, yeah.
blaming Iran
I think so.
for these drones. I mean,
Yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. I mean,
Yeah.
the FAA authorization only covered some of the drones.
Right.
There's also just your average Joe who got a drone for Christmas and is flying it around, and they're not, nefarious or anything. They're just kind of curious.
Right, like just having fun,
Yeah.
tinkering around.
Exactly.
And it all just adds to that kind of like,
Murkiness.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
is this a hobbyist? Is this
Right.
some government thing?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Right. And that all leads into what I think is one of the more interesting parts of this, which is that,
Yeah.
Because of this whole drone activity, New York Stewart International Airport
Yeah.
had to shut down
For an hour,
for a whole hour.
which is not insignificant.
Not at all.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then you have Gov Cappy Hochul,
Yeah.
who comes out and she's like, this
A problem.
has gone too far.
Yeah.
We need federal help.
We need to figure this out.
Right. So it's like clearly at the state level, they're
Yeah.
feeling overwhelmed
Yeah.
by this whole thing.
And you also had
Yeah.
Gov Murphy over in New Jersey.
Yeah.
He sent a letter to federal officials, including, former President Biden,
Oh, yeah.
saying we need to give local authorities
Yeah.
more power to actually do something about this.
Interesting.
He specifically called for advanced detection and mitigation technologies.
Now, what is that?
Well, that's a great question.
When you say that, I imagine something very like,
Sci-fi?
yeah,
Well, I mean, it's not that far off.
right.
You're talking about systems that can,
Yeah.
pinpoint a drone's location
Oh.
using radar,
Oh.
or even counter-drone measures, which can, take control of a drone if it's a threat.
Oh, wow.
They can basically ground it remotely.
So it's like a virtual fence
Yeah.
in a way.
Almost like a virtual no-fly zone.
Yeah. And so this is what Gov Murphy's calling for.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying we need the tools
Yeah.
to deal with this.
And this is all happening around the same time that you have like John Kirby,
Mm-hmm.
who's also part of the Biden administration,
Right.
talking about the need for Congress to step in
Yeah.
and do something about this growing ecosystem of drones.
Yeah. The legal framework is just not there.
Yeah, it feels like there's a real gap
Definitely.
between, what's happening on the ground
Mm-hmm.
and then like what the laws are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we got some answers about those New Jersey drones.
Right.
It feels like it just opened up,
A whole other
a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
now what? Well, and here's something I think for everyone to kind of chew on.
Yeah.
As drone technology keeps getting better,
more accessible,
more affordable,
cheaper.
More people have them.
How do we balance all of that with the need to make sure that, our airspace is safe
and secure,
and people aren't using these things for nefarious purposes?
Yeah.
I don't think there are any easy answers to that.
No. I think that's something that we're going to be grappling with for a long time.
Absolutely. And on that note, we would definitely encourage anyone listening to do a little bit of research. Find out about the drone technology and regulations
that'll apply to you
in your own area.
Because
this is a field that's changing so rapidly.
Very quickly.
That it's hard to keep up, but it's really important.
It is.
Yeah. So stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
Sounds good.